Now, when it comes to trying for a baby, the statistics are very straightforward. A 30-year-old woman who wants to get pregnant stands a 22% chance of being successful during any given month. By age 35, that chance has dropped to 18%, and by 45, there is a slight 1% chance.
But planning a family is far from straightforward. Busy lifestyles, money pressures and stressful jobs. More and more women are postponing having a baby, with the average age for first-time mothers in this country is now at 30. So what happens if you're still not quite ready? But we're told you would be infertile within a year. That's exactly what happened to our next guest, and she joins us now to share her story. Kasey Edwards, you're very welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Good morning. Now, you have released 2 books. The first one was 30-something and over it, and the current one is 30-something and the clock is ticking. It kind of frightens me to even say those words. But it's also true, isn't it?
Yes, look, it wasn't a book I was planning on writing until I went to my gynaecologist for a routine checkup. And she said, "While you're here, I may as well check your ovaries." And then she said, "You may already be infertile, but best case scenario, you've got 12 months.
What age were you at that stage?
I was 32. And
Right.
that was so shocking to me because I thought I had years and years to go before I had to worry about the baby question. And I think a lot of women make the same mistake. We see celebrities on the front pages of magazines getting pregnant when they're 40, and we think that we can too, but you don't have to Google very far to find those statistics that you just read out, Mark, that it's really hard to get pregnant in your 30s.
And you made a really good point, and women all over the country will identify with this. In the press release for one of your books, you say, when you're younger, you probably devoted a lot of time and energy into not getting pregnant, and you expect all of a sudden when you want it to happen that you'll fall pregnant instantly. When it doesn't happen, it's quite a shock, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, it's not as easy as our sex education teachers led us to believe.
They frightened us into that, I think.
Yeah, the first month I tried, I was truly shocked that I wasn't pregnant. And then again, and then again.
And I think the more information you're armed with and the more you read up on it, you realise what a miracle it is to actually get pregnant.
That's right, and that was one of the things that occurred to me, that I didn't realise how fragile my fertility was until I was sitting in front of a doctor being told that it was almost too late. And I thought, as women who are empowered and take control of every other aspect of our lives, our career and our education and our personal development, how is it that we can be so ignorant about something as important as our fertility?
The thing that you were biologically designed to do is, in actual fact, a lottery.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's extraordinary.
I think the problem is that society is now so far out of sync with our biology. We're designed to pop out babies when we're much younger. But as you said, you know, we've got the pressure to get our career and our education and our assets.
You're in an interesting situation because quite often, and I've been in the situation with a woman whose biological clock starts to go, as Marissa Tomei said in the movie, you know, duh, 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 right? So you could hear it halfway down the street. And that's grand. That's a natural urge. You understand that, and you love the woman and you go along with it. You're in a position where your clock wasn't ticking.
Yep.
You were going, no, hang on a second, I haven't started that. I haven't even bought the clock yet. But I've got to get it ticking. So how do you cope with that, and how is it different?
Yeah, look, I wasn't thinking about motherhood. I didn't even know if I wanted to be a mum, and what I did know about it seemed like a really bad deal. It's like, who in their right mind would want to clean up bodily fluids for 24 hours a day and not get paid for it, and not sleep on top of that? But then once I was told that I couldn't have a baby, and I started speaking to people who had babies and people who didn't, and I saw the grief of the people who waited too long and simply couldn't have a child, and I thought, I just couldn't bear that regret.
You obviously did a lot of research for the books that you've written, Kasey. Did you find you came across couples that want it so badly that the relationship becomes completely consumed by that need?
Absolutely, I was in one. Yeah, it's once you want a baby, it takes over your whole life. I remember, you know, seeing signs on buses and the pregnant lady has the priority seating, and it was like, even the sign is pregnant. Everyone's pregnant except me. And conception sex, or sex under duress as I like to call it, is particularly hard for men. The idea of having to perform according to circled dates in diaries, Yeah.
No romance? There's no romance in it.
It's just not very sexy, is it?
No, it's not. The novelty wears off.
And you know
really
the funny
quickly.
thing about it, we're as human beings, we're all supposed to be, obsessed with it, quietly, privately, some overtly. But after you've had a couple of marathons, and you kind of go, and nothing's worked, it's suddenly not as enticing a prospect as you thought, or as it's written about.
Absolutely, and it can be really inconvenient too. I ovulated when I was boarding a flight from Melbourne to London. And you're only fertile
Did you join the Mile High Club?
Well, see, the thing is, I don't believe anyone who said they've joined the Mile High Club, because you cannot fit two adults into a toilet, let alone do anything.
Plus, they get a bit suspicious when the two of you go in.
Yeah, but
that's true.
I mean, I can say with authority, aeroplanes.
Did you try?
I wasn't going to waste that month, but aeroplanes are not designed for ovulating couples.
There's a lot to be said for first class. Bit expensive, mind you. Well, there's a whole IVF cycle there, and it's first class ticket. Now, obviously, you're not in this on your own. You have a partner.
Yes.
And it's not just what you want and all of that. You've got to manage that relationship, and they may not necessarily be in the same place as you.
I had known my boyfriend at the time for less than a year when I was told that it was now or never.
Oh, I'd love to hear that conversation. Oh, listen, time's running out, we're having a baby now. And he's going,
tonight.
Right.
Yes, so he just moved into my apartment, and I thought, is he going to just move out again once I have this conversation? And I also felt really lucky that he was father material, because I think a lot of women, when you're 32 and you've got your criteria for dating, father material is not on it. So it was just really lucky that...
So you've just told him where he can put his socks and put his aftershaves, and then you said, right, baby.
Yes,
and
let's get to it, buddy.
In the back of your mind is the thought, here's where he bolts and I'll never see him again.
I was worried about that, yes. And I think that's a really scary message for women, that when you are in your early 30s, if you're not dating someone who's father material, you could very easily get to 38 and 40 and not have and not be able to have a baby, because by the time you think, okay, time to get around to meeting a man, 35, takes a year, wait 2 years before you have the baby conversation. And then we're now looking at the statistics of, 2 or 3% of being able to have a child.
And the statistics are quite frightening. I think that's why so many women in their 30s, all the texts this morning coming in saying, I'd love to have children, I'm just not in that position. However, you were.
I was, but I think I'd like to make the point that men's clocks tick as well. And men don't realise that after the age of 35, there is DNA damage to sperm, which can lead to an increased risk of Down syndrome and miscarriage and autism. And almost 50% of cases in IVF clinics are there because the man has problems. And I think that if men also realised that their clock was ticking, then all these women wouldn't have such a problem.
With those tricky conversations.
That's right.
We have a great outcome to this story, though, don't we?
We do. After trying and failing, naturally, we went through IVF, and we now have a daughter called Violet, and she's 18 months old.
Oh, congratulations. That's
Thank
a lovely way to end
you.
the story, isn't it?
You going to stop there?
Lots more on the way.
Okay.
That's a yes.
I don't know. I think it's a no. I think we'll see what will happen. Anyway, people can get the books, and the other thing is that we've treated this in a relatively light-hearted fashion, but also hopefully with a bit of respect as well. But there's a lot of humour in these books. You are aware of the irony and the surreal nature of the whole thing, and you write about it beautifully. Thank you very much indeed.